Welcome back to Art Smack, the podcast that lately is hardly about art, but is more about memes, girls and the gays, culture, and whatever we want to talk about. If we want to talk about ourselves, we want to talk about plastic surgery, we want to talk about yeast infections. I don't know, because art is not made in a bubble. Art comes from life, and life is complicated and weird. So, on this amazing episode, which I hope we can keep doing this, ladies, I have two of my absolute favorite people from the internet who have turned out to be magnificent friends. I have Una, queen of TikTok, and I have Culture Quota, who's a queen of so many domains on Instagram that I actually don't know them all.
I know.
But Culture Quota is the main one that I know. And then I know you do stuff for Betches, one of my favorite old school, what do we call it? Publication? No. Media company? I don't know.
Media companies, girly pop presences online.
Girly pop presences.
What do you do for them?
I'm the content manager for Betches News. So I work on their Instagram, making content with them. And then I also work on their Substack as well, the Betches Newsroom. You can subscribe to our paid tier if you want to chat with me.
Oh, wow. People pay to chat with you?
No, they really want Sammy, and Sammy Sage is the incredible original Betch that this is like her vertical. They get a little Sammy, but they have to go through me.
I would like those cam girls that like actually don't take off their clothes. They're just like, hey, John. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. I wish I could do that.
How do you become one of those girls online who like doesn't take off their clothes and you just have to pay for them to be like, hey, John, can you buy me a Birkin? Can you pay my rent? Because they have a daddy kink or whatever.
I don't think it would be hard for you two ladies to find a male demographic who would pay for that. I get DMs on TikTok all the time from men being like, will you let me pay your rent? Will you let me pay for food for you?
Stop it.
Una,
I think they're scams, but they're probably like, I get like tons of messages like that all the time.
Oh, I get messages that are like, you're a fucking bitch. Okay. Well, clearly.
No, let me show you. I'll show you some.
I've
Like,
said before about Una is somehow like Lily Rose
No, but
Depp and prettier than her.
They're
crazy.
scamming me. Like they want me to give them my PayPal information, then take all my money.
Oh.
They're not real. I think. But look, I'm going to send a screenshot to our group chat. This is from free. Can I take care of your breakfast every morning for you and your boyfriend?
Okay. And you're like, I don't have a boyfriend. You put it down.
But also, what? That's weird, right?
It's
Oh,
very
6
weird.
days ago. Don't know if you're willing to have me paying up your bills when it shows up. I get these all the time. It's weird.
Okay. I don't know if it's a scam or not, but I would still be flattered. And I've never gotten.
I'm sure you have them in your TikTok. You have to go through like this spam message.
It says that I have like thousands of notifications, but I don't know how to check them. Like when we're together, you guys are going to teach me like I'm Helen Keller, like TikTok.
Yeah.
Pulling me with my hands because I just don't know how to do it. Like the other day when you're like, tag me in that, I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I could do it on Instagram.
Fair enough. We'll go through it for sure.
Okay.
So how was your week? What's happened in your last 24 hours? Both of your last 24 hours.
Okay. This is something huge. I need to take my shoes off for that.
Take your shoes off. You could probably make money from selling pictures of your feet.
I have seriously considered that. I have amazing feet.
Oh,
I have cute feet too.
you guys should.
I'm wearing my Hermes shoes that match my Hermes bag. And I was at Hermes today. Okay. Anyways, but that's part of the story. So that's why I was mentioning it. Okay. I have a question for both of you.
Okay.
Have you ever had somebody who feels so comfortable around you that they're like, I'm far right?
Oh, yeah.
And then you
My
go,
father.
Okay.
My brother.
Okay.
My father.
Oh, your father. Oh, my God. Thank God.
No, wait. And you're like, okay, what does that mean for you? And person says to you, the Jews are a plague on this planet, and Black people can't be in society and can't be trusted and should be segregated outside of white culture.
That's never happened to me before.
Yeah, not that extreme.
That's extreme. Who is this person? And what's the
I
context?
don't want to dox them because I don't want them to get murdered, because I feel like that's almost like murder-worthy statements. But on one hand, okay, I'm always flattered when people can be honest with me. I like that.
Yeah.
But I have never in my life ever had someone say that to me. And when they said Black people, they didn't say that word. You know what I'm saying? So it's a shame, because in many regards and aspects, this is a very gentle, kind person.
What?
Oh, fucking. And they told me, I was like, where do you get your information? What's that all about? I love Nick Fuentes. So spot on and right about Nick Fuentes is 25 years old.
Man or woman? Man.
It was a man. Of course, obviously it was a man.
There's some hateful women out there. They exist.
There are, but I don't know. I default man.
Fair enough.
I don't know now. Like, I don't know what to do with this friendship now, because I could change their mind. Like that could be my project, right? Because
what if you were like, I'm half Black and half Jewish?
my dad is Jewish,
So you should tell them that, and then you can pretend to be half Black.
Does this
And maybe-
person know that?
No, because I just wanted it to all come out as it was. I didn't want to stop it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You wanted to hear everything they had to say.
And it's crazy because, okay, I swear on my life, because I have lived in an art bubble for so long, and I used to be very like Democrat liberal. I'm not anymore. I'm more like moderate, but because I've been living in that bubble for so long, and I hang out with people like you, and I hang out with people in the art world.
What's people like you mean?
Like open-minded. Oh, also this person doesn't like gay people. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah.
People like you, like open-minded, fun, cool. You could be around anybody. You could probably talk to a fucking wall and accept them as they are and hear them out, which I felt like I was doing with this person. I was like, okay, I'm going to hear you out. What the rationale?
Right.
Now I have to decide, do I continue to be friends with this person for the sake of helping open their mind and change their mind? Or do I just completely disassociate with this person?
I think you toss them up to the curb. How old are they?
I don't know, somewhere in their 30s,
How long have you known them?
like 2 weeks.
Ooh, then yeah.
Toss them to the curb. It's not worth it.
Because I have a lot of thoughts on this because of what I
I
saw.
feel that's why I'm telling you, like, and I want to hear what you have to say. You know,
I feel like if you've known them a long time, you might have the pull and the sway to convince them otherwise or help them grow out of this mindset. Because my mind immediately goes to, we don't stop this by being like assholes to these people,
no,
but
somewhere where they are.
prove them wrong about what they think of Jewish people, with you being Jewish, Hildy, or Jewish. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Or that people that have these non-far right extreme beliefs are all in their own bubble, out of touch, and they don't want to talk. See, like, you're just proving my point, right? You just want to live in your fantasy land and move forward. But I think you had the ability to work with this person and massage their ideology, if you will, if you've known them like a long time, 2 weeks, I don't know though. I feel like at 2 weeks, there's no chance.
Okay, I'm not sticking up for the person's belief, but I will say that I would gladly introduce this person to both of you, and I would let you, not in I don't think you'd be hateful because I know you, but I would love to listen to you dismantle because he was like throwing like facts at me that, okay, I'm gonna reveal this much. The person is Russian.
Oh,
And the thing is that when you go to Russia or Ukraine, doesn't matter, they have a very different version of history than the West does. And they get very pissed off about like Western hegemonic beliefs of what history is. And that is where I think a lot of this person's like hardcore beliefs come from.
Which are what? They hate Black people and Jews. I don't think that you can say that's not like something that's like country specific. Like the Russians didn't have any. It's like
They're
a hateful person's a hateful person.
Like ethnically non-diverse.
yeah.
And have been for like thousands of years.
Yeah.
And
I understand like,
different version.
But they're Russian Jews. They're Russian Jews.
oh yeah. And there's been a history of anti-Semitism in Russia forever. But I understand what you mean, Hildy, because a lot of times it's as much as we want to jump on this person and judge them, it's like we have to understand people grow up in different cultures and countries that are super like can be really very insulated, or like the idea of like anti-Semitism too. And my dad even said this one time. He's like, how come the guys in Charlottesville who don't know any Jews and don't live near synagogues were like chanting about the Jews will not defeat us or whatever? And I'm like, because it's so in the culture and in the water and in the air that like they just grew up with it. It becomes like instilled in them. And I think a lot of these, unfortunately, attitudes and ideologies do become instilled in people in like other countries. And if you associate like the ideas of like democracy, freedom, equality, right, with the West, and you grow up resenting the West, right, that's in part of your culture, you're automatically going to resent those ideologies. So I understand only why you're like a little more on like the sympathetic side with him, because it's true. Like people ask me this all the time. Like especially after 10/7, not to bring up 10/7. Oh my God. What a fun podcast we're having.
I get canceled.
But people would say all the time, like about Islamic extremism, like, I don't understand how these people can believe that. And like, then they want to engage in it. I'm like, if you grew up in a country where that is part of the culture and that's all you know, and it's like easy to say, hop on the internet or whatever, but not everyone's like chronically online like us, or you're being fed. Like, I know that like, especially with anti-Semitism, they feed like certain posts and information to like men, ages, whatever to whatever, right? And then they get caught in this algorithm loop and echo chamber. So even if they like go looking for information, they might be served like incorrect or racist or homophobic information, right? So that sucks. But I feel like, Hildy, with your Russian background, you might be able to make some headway here. Like they might be more willing to listen to you and like untangle this ideology from maybe a resentment of like Western hegemony.
Yeah, that you nailed it on the head. And that's the only reason I didn't pull the car over and be like, get out of my car. I mean, is because I remember I was actually in Ukraine in 2018, like when the war in Crimea was already happening. And I was speaking to my dad's wife about it, she works for the IMF, but she's got like a double master's in like global finance and geopolitics. Like she's very smart. And so we were on a train. We were going to a really beautiful city called Lviv, and we had to like basically pass Crimea. Like people from like the NGOs that were trying to take some time off from a war were like getting on the train, and it was cool because you could talk to them and stuff. But I was talking to Sophia, my dad's wife, and I was like, why is this happening? Like, how is this okay? And she was like, the West arbitrarily divided up the former Soviet Union
Tale as old as time.
Yep. And I'm not, I don't know. I don't want to say anything too controversial here, but I know, for example, that Mama Rus, like the birth of the Russian identity is based in Ukraine. So those countries are ultra intertwined into a history that just can't be simply like broken up.
I'm not saying like that just because of that, Ukraine shouldn't be a country and should be like absorbed into Russia.
Yeah. When I started really actually appreciated speaking to my dad's wife because she's so smart, but we were in a cathedral, and I was looking at the Russian Orthodox paintings on the walls and the ceilings and everything. And I started asking her questions based on my knowledge of art history and architecture. And she got not angry with me, but I would say a little snappy with me. And she was like, whatever you're talking about is the propaganda that you were taught.
Yeah.
About architecture and the Christian religion, and see, because it's not what you think it is in America. And I it's okay. Like, I can get slapped in the face every once. But I was like, okay. And then the rest of the trip, it was really awesome because she spent a lot of time lovingly and gently, like, explaining to me differences.
Right.
Like, differences in perception. So that's why I actually enjoyed, and I was very amused by the Tucker Carlson Putin interview. I don't know if you guys watched it.
Yeah.
Because I speak Russian, the translations were not like, they were not.
They never are.
And Putin was being really condescending and rude to Tucker Carlson and was making fun of him to his face for his perceived ignorance, because Putin was explaining his version of history, which is the Russian version of history or whatever. Anyway, so to go back to this, I don't think I watched American History X when I was a kid, but like, I don't think I've ever met somebody before who just straight up was like, I'm far right. We're not talking like Republican who watches Fox News. We're talking about people who believe in like segregate, like extreme. And I just felt like we're not.
I'd be very scared of that person. Very scared.
Yeah. I would be too.
Yeah.
I think it was brave that you did not jump out of that interaction and that you led with like sympathy and like care.
I listened, there's that amazing man who has converted grand dragons in the KKK, which is like the highest position. Like, he has walked them out of the KKK. He's
Arno Michaelis.
And he's a black guy. He's an African American guy.
Not Arno Michaelis, but Arno Michaelis also does this and he's great.
And I listened to a podcast with him, and I was very struck because right now we live in a culture at a time where everyone thinks like, oh, if you scream loud enough, your right answer will get heard or whatever. And he was like, it was so beautiful. It reminded me of like Bill Withers or something. But he was like, if you can't, you have to meet them with, like, he's Christian. You have to meet them with the love of Jesus Christ. Like, you go to wherever they are and you feel that anger with them. You feel that pain with them. You feel that resentment with them. And then you begin to work on them. Yeah. And I felt that today, where I was like, because I know that this person ultimately is not a bad person. I think this person has received misinformation and I'm pretty persuasive when I want to be, and I feel like I could help I don't know though. We'll see.
I know a guy named Ara Michaelis who's fabulous, who was like a neo-Nazi. And he does this too. He like helps people get out of the KKK. He has like a nonprofit where he helps parents whose kids have been radicalized and radicalized by anything. Like they could be MAGA, they could be Islamic Jihad, they could be like red pill, blue pill, whatever. And he also talked about how even if you're like socialized into this or whatever, this hatred and this prejudice is always built on some kind of fear and like being slighted in some way. That group does X to us. And so if your response, say you were like, I'm Jewish and get the out of my car, he'd be like proven. But Ardo makes this point that a lot of times people hold onto those ideologies because they themselves are like angry, upset, depressive, suicidal. Like it's much harder for them to come out of it because it's great when you feel that way to have a boogeyman. Right? Like he called his time with the neo-Nazis like just a gigantic like suicide episode. Right here, if he lived or died. And when he finally woke up and realized like, oh my God, I don't care if I live or die at all. It's not about like this like ideology, right? But he was like masking it with, like, yeah, I believe in this so much. I don't care if I live or die for it. That's how much I believe in it. And he was like, no, really, I'm just like depressed and suicidal. And when he walks a lot of these like men out of the KK or whatever, he appeals to that of, like you said, like understanding, meeting them where they're at. I understand you're angry. I understand you feel slighted. I understand you feel like something's happened or like you're small in this world. You have no power. And like, you're totally valid in feeling that, but understand like your life is worth more. And like the people you hate, their lives are worth more. Like a lot of times he says the reason like guys will get out of it is because like they have kids and the wives will be like, this like lifestyle of like believing in this ideology or whatever can lead to your death. What did we see with Charlie Kirk recently? Not to bring up, oh my God, no one, am I going to end up on the list somewhere? But forget about the debate about like, he practiced politics the right way or like he practiced like discourse the right way. He built a platform based on like division, fear, and like othering other groups based on making people fear them and hate them. Like that will lead to violence eventually. It can. You have to value your life. That's almost like the base of it. You have to get rid of that fear and teach them like to value their own life. And then maybe that can get them to a place of like valuing other people's lives.
But I think it becomes concerning where we live in a country where when you have a difference of opinion, you can be shot. Like as incendiary as Charlie Kirk was, and as the things that he said were incredibly problematic and divisive and probably fueled up a whole generation of incel white men to feel a certain way about things. We shouldn't live in a country where people are shot for the things that they say.
Right.
Like then what's the difference between America and like any other country?
Right. Tashi Coates brought up a great point in that Ezra Klein interview where he was like, Martin Luther King preached love and he was shot.
Yeah.
Like you said, this idea of a difference of opinion can get you like possibly killed. Like it's interesting the Charlie Kirk thing sparked this idea that's like a new thing. And Tahashi Coates really brought up like, actually, it's not. No.
It's very true. In London, the police don't have guns. They just have batons.
Germany too, and they will knock your ass out with that. I've seen them take out some knees. Rough. I know. It's tough. Hilda, you look shaken.
Shaken. Because it was like a thing.
Yeah, it's scary.
But I was listening to, I don't really listen to her very much anymore because I think she just got a little too, I don't know, whatever. I used to really be a big fan of Barry Weiss. And
yeah, me too.
Something's changed. But
I don't know who that is.
So she used to be a writer for the New York Times and like a big writer and basically
an editor of the op-ed section.
Yeah, maybe. Basically, in the middle of COVID, was like, fuck you guys, I'm leaving because they were promoting her to write misinformation about COVID and censoring people who wanted to talk about what their actual experience was like versus the narrative that like the mainstream media was carrying. And she became extremely famous for that. So then she started something called the Free Press. And the Free Press is good. It's become extremely Zionist lately. I don't know if you've noticed that. And sometimes it's a bit heavy on the religion. Whereas when I first started listening to it, I was like more interested in sort of good news, like a good news resource.
Right. Because it tries to be as like objective as possible.
But I did hear a really good interview on Barry not that long ago. It wasn't even her. It was these two gentlemen speaking. And of course, it was like about the Roman Empire.
Love it.
That like meme never gets old to me. Like, I think it's very funny. I used to do it to Matt all the time. I'd be like, hey, Matt, when do you think about the Roman Empire? He was like, I don't know. I just thought about it like an hour ago. I'm like, what's but anyways, it was about the Roman Empire. And I think it's interesting because there's a pattern for how democracy fails and ends. One of the biggest signs, the biggest patterns is when the rules, not just the laws, but like unspoken rules of democracy, like free speech, like being able to be a leader for a movement or whatever, when that person is unceremoniously murdered in public, that is usually, he was talking about the Roman Empire because the Roman Empire had a few ups and downs. He was talking about Greece. And he was just like, that's like almost the instant moment when you know you're truly in decline. And I heard that was before Charlie Kirk was killed. That was whatever. I was just listening to a podcast on the Roman Empire. So it's weird and sad and scary that like these things are starting to happen. And even, what's his name? Mangione, the hot killer that killed the healthcare CEO.
Oh, Luigi. Yeah.
But no, I understand that there was like a cause, but he murdered that man who just ran the company, who is a father with children. Right. The videos are everywhere. He just murdered him in cold blood.
Yeah, it shows like a loss of humanity.
And I think that's pretty scary. And I don't know. Okay.
I have to be back in 1 second. I hear something. Hold on. Continue that thought. Hold on.
Shoot, as our student. But I can see why you would sorry, Hildy. And I agree. I don't think like Zionist needs to be like made a slur by any means.
No.
But I think she's doing what she fought against, which is letting her own beliefs filter into the reporting. And that's exactly what the Free Press is supposed to not be.
Yeah, that's why I backed off of it. I check it to see if there's a good interview or something. I also listen to, there's a really good one that I always recommend people check out. Okay, the guy's voice is annoying. And it's like slow, but I so recommend it because I learned so much about, it's like one of those podcasts, you'll learn something about everything.
Yeah.
Called In Plain English.
Oh, that's cool. That's a good name.
Yeah. And it's this guy. Obviously, let me just turn a light on too. It's this guy, and he will bring the most expert of the experts on, and he will like listen to them speak, and then he will like very carefully deconstruct what they say and read it back in plain English.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's a good podcast. It's very kind of non-biased. I would say there's almost no political space. I do listen to things too that are like controversial. Like I like Red Scare. I've been listening to them for 7 years. I can admit that. I think they're funny. I don't agree with everything they say. I think they're like edgy, and I like edgy humor. I also like Tim Dillon. I think Tim whatever edgy, but he's very funny to me. But I think that's like about as far as I go. And that those are my beliefs. I just think
we're not allowed to like we're always policing each other now. And it's so, I think, like counterproductive to a sense of like community and understanding. All that does is divide us more. Like I was like spending the night at my friend Lindsay's house a couple months ago. Lindsay Pope, who is an amazing artist, by the way. And I couldn't fall asleep, so I put on Theo Von because Theo Von just makes me laugh so hard. Some of the like certain episodes. And I was like, oh my God, she's going to hear this and think I'm a Republican. And it's just, come on.
And fall asleep in 2 seconds to the sound of Megyn Kelly like screaming about something.
So soothing.
What do you listen to, Una?
Music or podcast wise?
Podcasts?
I don't listen to podcasts.
You
I like
don't?
to listen to audiobooks.
Oh my
I
God.
like to listen to audiobooks.
You're such
I
an
don't listen to-
intellectual.
What are you listening to?
Oh, there's this like fairy book that's smutty that I listen to. It's really good.
What's it called?
What do you mean?
Like it's like softcore pornography. What do you? It's the classic one that everyone listens. That everyone
I've heard
knows.
of it.
You know the one. Wait, what is it called? Fairies.
Like- Something of roses or something?
Yeah, Court of Thorns and Roses. They have
like
eight of
listen to it in your ears on the subway, get wet.
them. No, I don't get wet.
It's not
Do you listen to? No, it's just like your heart maybe is like a little bit of flutter. But if you're like super turned on, I would probably wait till I got home to listen to a particular chapter, maybe. But if you're having a slow day at work, it makes work go by a lot faster.
That's a good tip.
I
Yeah.
remember when, what was that stupid fucking book that came out? 50 Shades of Grey, which is porn. The whole
It's
thing
like-
is fucking porn, okay?
Yeah.
And like every third woman would be like reading it on the subway, like clenching their thighs. And it was like, bitch, we know what you're reading. Like you're reading.
I never 50 Shades of Grey.
I
At least the Court of Thorns and Roses, there's like a mystical aspect to it, which is nice.
Yeah.
Like 50 Shades of Grey is just real world pornography.
It's like one controlling dude like being weird with this woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least in, what's it called? What's the name of the book? Something Roses?
Court of Thorns and Roses.
Court of Thorns and Roses. It's like fairies doing this stuff to each other.
Yeah. It's magical.
like fairies going down on each other.
Yeah. They don't it doesn't get that like specific about what they do.
Oh,
It's not it's like very soft core, mostly fantasy. You just feel like, oh, it would be super cool if there was an alternative reality in which that world existed.
a little more sophisticated writing approach than 50 Shades too.
I agree. It's very sophisticated. It's
And if
incredible.
women like it, what's wrong with it?
Exactly.
I'm trying to think if I've ever read a smutty book. I feel like I had, maybe I need recommendations or something. The book that I most recently, I think I talked to you guys about this. I most recently listened to on audio was on an airplane, and it was a fucking long flight. So I like listened to the whole book. Was My Year of Rest and Relaxation.
I thought about reading
Classic.
me. Should I? Because I feel like I see both sides. I feel like I see people loving it and then people like memeing everybody who likes it. What is the truth, girls?
Okay, I'm gonna speak my truth. Okay.
Okay.
So I've had a rough year, obviously, like last year, this year. I took the year off.
Mhm.
And I would say especially the first 6 to 7 months, not so much now. I was like medicated out of my mind because I had to be.
Yeah.
So I was like taking so many prescribed drugs to basically just keep me asleep. Like I basically needed to be sedated because I was so horribly heartbroken and miserable
Mhm.
about everything that like being awake was torture. I would wake up and find my mom and sob for 3 hours, and then she'd be like, why don't you go take a blah 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 and go lay down? Like being awake was really hard for me in the beginning. So when I listened, and I didn't know that it was I thought it was an autobiography because I was like, it's too real. Like whoever wrote this book must have gone through a version of this because it's extremely accurate. Like for a person who's going through a lot of psychological pain, who then uses like pills and drugs to just like all you want to do is sleep. Use
Wait,
food
what's the
to keep-
synopsis?
Hmm?
What's the synopsis? What happens in the book?
I just told you.
But, like, you never
No.
find out what happens to make them do this.
Not a lot of
You-
rest and not a lot of relaxation.
You learn about it as it's going on. I wish I had that Diet Coke, Greg. Jealous.
That Diet
Oh.
Coke looks good.
I always have a Diet Coke on
Oh,
me.
Crispy.
My gosh. It's
Crispy.
an old one from the grocery store today.
Crispy.
I picked up my medications and I was like, I have to have something to take them with.
Ooh.
I know.
What did you get?
I used to hate Coke as a kid. I couldn't drink Coke, and now I like it.
Una, what a sophisticated palate as a child.
It wasn't. I just was like, this is not good.
Una, your mother's house is amazing, by the way.
I'm dog sitting at my friend's in the West Village right now,
Gorgeous.
which is very nice.
You made the video?
What video?
Super Bowls?
No, that is my mom's art collector, this guy named Jonathan O'Hara, whose mom was like Mad Men like secretary in the 60s, collected all these like Rauschenbergs, like Calders, and then sold them. And he was basically like this rich boy, like he was inducted into the art world, had a gallery, represented my mom. Gallery no longer exists, but he's like my mom's art collector. He smokes a ton of weed. Like he has this like little boat and he'll boat it around the island of Manhattan because Manhattan's an island, and he's like smoking like 3 joints like the whole time he's like driving this boat like 100 miles an hour. He's insane. His name's Jonathan O'Hara. Hopefully that doesn't get me in trouble. But yeah.
That's
What was
his house where you made that video?
in the video? Yes, it's his house.
Oh,
He's a
your
good
house. I was dying. I thought that was hilarious.
It's a funny
It was
video.
gorgeous.
But when you're both in New York, we should go to my mom's house in Williamsburg.
And done deal. Am I allowed to say this? I always feel like, should I respect celebrity privacy or am I? No, I shouldn't. Okay.
No.
No.
You're a public figure.
So, due to a very good friendship of mine, my dear friend is best friends with Woody Harrelson's wife.
Okay.
And okay, I always thought he was like a smaller, wiry man. He is like massive. Like I feel like he's 6'3", 6'4". He's jacked.
Oh.
Ooh,
I'm surrounded with a huge mason jar full of weed, and all he does is smoke 24/7. And so he came over to the house where we were, and we were like cooking dinner. And he sits next to me, and do you smoke weed? And I looked at him. The honest truth is no, because like
Yeah.
I will become an insane person. And so I was like, no, not really. And I was trying to be polite. And from that moment on, he did not look at me.
who is this?
Oh.
Who is
Wait.
this?
Woody Harrelson?
Woody Harrelson. I have to look that up.
Well, in Hunger Games, her Katniss is coach man with the terrible wig.
He seems so nice.
Yes, though he's super chill. He's so high all the time. But because I wasn't in the get high club,
Yeah.
snub.
I feel like people who like love weed are like that. Like I don't smoke weed either. It makes me paranoid. I've never enjoyed it. I don't like a gummy, nothing. And they think like they have found the fountain of like youth, life, like happiness. And if you don't partake, like something's wrong with you. That's been my personal experience.
I think everything in moderation. I have friends who smoke a lot of it, and we'll be recounting. Like I had this close friend in college, and we're still friends. And he smoked a lot of weed, and we would talk the next day about a situation. And he had a completely different interpretation of what happened. And like, here's the thing, in every situation, it's your side, my side, and what actually happened is probably somewhere in the middle. But he would be saying things that were said, that I said, that happened, that just didn't happen because he would wake up and smoke, and he would smoke throughout the whole day. And it just became, it's hard to be friends with someone who's like that addicted to weed because it's like their interpretation of events are so skewed because it warps your perspective of what's happening.
No, you don't want to talk about this. I had a friend who smokes a lot of weed. And one time she did like just like that. And she did turn to me one time and was like, this really does affect my driving. Like I've noticed that. And I'm like, why is there this culture? I understand not criminalizing it like with alcohol too. Talk about something that impairs you. right? But like we talk about it like it doesn't impair you that much. And like you said, anything in excess will, even caffeine.
Yeah,
Trust me, I know that
100%.
one.
100%.
I just like, okay, as the grandmother of the group, I have to raise my hand and say something. For anybody who's listening who gives a flying fuck about our opinions on pot, I'll say this. I know somebody who's one of my closest friends, but I don't want to out them. One of my closest friends, one of the smartest people I know, one of the funniest people I know, this person could charm the socks off of anyone. Just they're funny, they're brilliant, they're fast, they're like just everything. Like this is why I love this person. I really admire. Like I listen to them talk. I'm like, wait, slow down. You're so fucking fast. Like, how did you put that together? And it's really fun hanging out with them because it's like a brain exercise. And then like when you finally get on their rhythm, you're like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm smart too. But this person smoked weed every day for 15 years.
Yeah.
And I would say at the 15-year mark, everything changed for this person. They began to feel like they had some kind of autoimmune disease. By the way, I learned that there is like a thing called like you really can overdose your body on weed over time and it destroys your gut. So a lot of people think that they have like autoimmune issues and it's actually because of marijuana. But anyway, this person became shy all of a sudden. They became reclusive. Their self-esteem like went down. They're like this beautiful, fucking beautiful, amazing person who I love so much changed. And that was hard for me to see.
Yeah.
Then I watched this person slowly realize, thank God, on their own, like no intervention necessary. Fuck, when I had to stop drinking, like everyone around me was like, you are drunk.
Yeah.
But no intervention necessary for this person. He walked himself off the ledge and he's back. He's fully back. But it took 3 years. And if he would have kept smoking, it would have gotten worse and worse. And I know people like some of my mom's friends who've smoked pot for years and they can't leave the house. Like, have a roommate.
My mom's always said I have an addictive personality and that's why I don't do drugs. And so my mom, the only thing she's addicted to is coffee. If she doesn't ever, which is a drug, as you're saying, Beatrice, but besides coffee, she doesn't do anything to my knowledge. I'm sure she had a crazy life when she was younger, but I've always just assumed that like I have an addictive personality of sorts. So I've never let myself indulge in things.
Yeah.
And I think when you think you're not invincible and you have a mindset of this could have a negative adverse effect with time, you never allow yourself to fully lean into it. And if you fully lean into things, you lose yourself.
Yeah. And we're like, what we're talking about, like anything in excess, right? I brought this up and this is my excuse for not running. But people talk about this all the time. Like people who wear their body down by running. And I don't mean like a healthy running habit. I mean like marathon after marathon. Doctors are finally coming out and being like, control your running. Try not to make running like your only form of exercise. Like it will deteriorate your knees, your joints. Like it's bad for you. Like anything in excess. I'm like your mom, Luna. I'm a caffeine girl. Coffee, Diet Coke, whatever. But there are levels here, right? Like too much caffeine does not have the same adverse effect as like too much of like maybe another drug or something. Right? So I'm with you and your mom on this one.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest.
Go for it.
I really hope my mom doesn't listen to my podcast. I've been wondering about that lately. So I started drinking again, but drinking, when you take a 6-year break from drinking, I do believe that it like rewired my brain. I don't have that same, like I used to drink to get fucked up. Now I drink to get a little buzzy And then I'm like, I've got Pilates tomorrow, so I'm done. It's not like I don't get wasted. But I will be honest with you. I love pharmaceuticals. Like,
And
I'm just being honest. Like, I do. Like, I love pharmaceuticals. Like, I love benzodiazepines. And I'm not so into like painkillers. But if you were like, here's a Vicodin, I'd be like, sure, let me take it. Let's watch a movie.
well, like, do you feel like you need to function? I don't think you're like that.
No.
Yeah.
No, but I do take medication every day, but I don't take benzos every day anymore.
Right.
I used to. And then if I'm out, like I said, if I'm out at a party and somebody puts a line of cocaine in front of my face, will I do it? Yes. Like if somebody offers me MDMA and I feel like they're a trustworthy source, will I do it? Yes. I make myself sound like a druggie, but
no, because like the people I know who like are like having issues with this stuff, they're like doing MDMA alone in their room on a Wednesday and like listening to the Euphoria soundtrack on a loop. You're not doing that.
no. That sounds like a nightmare to me.
Yeah.
I'm about to do sublingual ketamine therapy with my therapist.
So jealous.
You can get it online. You just go to betterhelp.com and make up some trauma and like they'll mail it to you.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHealth.
Yes.
But yeah, BetterHelp. I think it's BetterHelp.
Is
BetterHelp.
BetterHelp?
If you'd like to sponsor us, we will take all the money and we will talk about all the drugs because they do. If you have hormone issues, if you're losing your hair, it's like one of those kind of, it's like Roe. It's like those fucking companies. They'll give a GLP-1 to anyone. Anyway, so I'm gonna do it. I'm used to doing ketamine infusions. And when you do like a ketamine infusion, there's no talking. You're like seeing like the formation of like crystal cities, and then like you become a flower that then becomes the soil, and then you drop down into a river, and then you're floating. Like you're not in reality whatsoever. So there's no such thing as therapy, but I have done it in the same room as a like Native American seeing woman and a psychotherapist. And the Native American seeing woman said that my pain was so visceral that she was holding back her own vomit and she almost ran out of the room.
Wait, so like when you're doing this, what are they seeing? What are you doing?
They're
crying, thrashing, like what?
They're like meditating while I'm going through the infusion that lasts like an hour. But that was different. That was in San Diego at the Howe Clinic. When I go to the ketamine clinic in Los Angeles, or if I go to the New York ketamine clinic, it's just different. It's like you put your blindfolds on. I listen to this album called The Garden of the Gods, and I trip my motherfucking ass off for an hour.
Let's freaking go. That sounds epic, honestly.
And you feel better after.
Not the pain.
So it's not about, okay, so here's the misnomer. The trip is not what heals you.
Okay.
What the healing comes 4 to 6 hours after you have done it. And so there's something about the ketamine that repairs the tears of gray matter on your brain, which are tears from trauma. That is the healing process. The trip is just like the added bonus.
Maybe that's why everyone at Berghain is always doing ketamine. It's actually therapy.
Wait, who does that?
Berghain, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, but people do it to party, and I don't think it's therapeutic whatsoever. I think you have to be very careful with these drugs.
Yeah.
And with MDMA, like I would never go out on MDMA. Like MDMA is something you do in private. I think with a trusted person or a trusted group of people or whatever, I would never go in public and do like these drugs. But the sublingual ketamine that I'm going to do with my therapist, it's going to be like a lower, obviously like a much lower dose because I need to be able to talk.
Right.
So I'm going to be like pretty high, but we're going to be able to communicate somehow. And I don't fucking even know what we're going to talk about.
Hilly, have you noticed, like, after the trauma of like your last year, like what changed in your brain? Like for me, like my brain's really having a hard time with concepts of time. Like I'll see a date and be like, that's a month away and it's 2 days away. Like, has your brain changed in any way like that you've noticed?
Yeah, because it has been my year of rest and relaxation. I get offers to do things, or people will write to me about stuff and they'll be very like eager and excited and want whatever. And
Yeah.
I'll read it and I'll think about it. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, maybe. And then I completely forget about it.
Yeah.
I just don't even. The only thing I can think about right now is you two going to Pilates, going to therapy, and my family. And I don't have anything else. Like Matt, I just figured out Matt even blocked my text messages. I found that out last night. He put me on.
But guys, I have to go.
Or Una.
I have to go because I have a Pilates class.
Oh,
That's a great reason to leave.
I'm
by the way,
guilty. I'm guilty.
the snorting and growling soundtrack provided by Bernini, the one-eyed pug. Oh,
So cute, by the way. I
so
should
sorry.
send it to you. But text me and call me.
Yeah, and we'll make some fun clips, and we're gonna just keep yapping for a little bit longer, and then we're gonna go. We
I love you guys.
Love you, Una.
Love
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Or Hildy, the texting thing is so real. Because I blocked Jared, and then Bernini doesn't like that name. And then 2 weeks later, I was like, you know what? I think you do need to read the 4-page letter I wrote you, letting you know that I read all those text messages of you lying about me, telling people a month or a week after our anniversary you wanted to break up with me. I knew this the whole time. Like during this breakup, I think you need to know that you didn't get away with it. And his response after that, of course, was to block me. And even though I was like angry and really in this like place of moving on, that for some reason like took me out for 24 hours that he did that.
Yeah, I had a crying fit last night because I probably sent like 8 paragraphs and everything just came back green and like undeliverable.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like the no contact thing for me is maybe worse for me because I'm a big communicator. I'm a big talker. Like I would rather, I'm not saying let's get back together. I'm just saying, can we talk about what happened and can there be any peace? Can there be any friendship? Can there be relationship whatsoever? And just being totally blocked. The one beautiful thing that he still does for me is I still have health insurance through, which is a very lovely, kind thing that he does. So if he ever hears this, thank you. But besides that, the silent is just it's so painful.
Once it's aggressive to think like somebody that you was like, you considered family would do that. Obviously, like in my situation, I blocked Jared and I was like, I was the one who was like in the right to do that. I'm sure people expected that. But for him to do it back to me, I was like, you're the one who's in the wrong. And you're doing this like incredibly aggressive thing to me, cold thing. But here was like what helped me, Hildy, with it. And I think might help you is like, even you being like, yeah, when it happened, I like cried. I had like a fit and all this stuff. Like you're processing your emotions. Whereas like the person doing the blocking like that, Bernini, most likely is like putting it in a box and putting it away. Like they're not processing it.
You know what's so funny? I don't have my phone on me, but I that Gautier song that so famous. Now you're just
what I used to know. You're welcome, everyone.
So that song just today, like took on completely new meaning for me. And I don't care if this sounds cheesy, because there's the part when the girl starts singing and do you remember all the times when you accused me of screwing you over? And like she's talking about and how everything I was wrong that I said and I'd done. And then she gets like strong and I don't want to live that way, listening to every word you say. And I was like, because I just feel like even for me, I villainize myself I can't believe, I don't know if I'm supposed to be talking about my relationship, whatever, but villainize myself so much in this situation for so long. I can talk about this because it's true, but like my second suicide attempt and my first one they were both based around my guilt about feeling like I failed Matt in the relationship.
Right.
And that's like such a crazy, intense thing that any person would end their life because they feel like they failed somebody in a relationship. I guess that goes to show how much I loved him, and I'll probably always love him to some degree. But I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. All I know is that it's really hard to go through a separation, and it's so easy to demonize yourself. Like, I remember before I did the thing that I did, because that's how I reference it now, that did the thing, I remember that I truly had a belief in my head that if I wasn't alive, I wouldn't cause people pain anymore. And that I could just be a memory. I could just be a distant memory of someone who had caused pain, but now we've moved away. So this is the sickness. This is the depression. This is how I know depression is real. It's not made up. It's not fake. When you are so convinced of that, and you're living in so much pain and darkness that you're like absolutely convinced that you should not be alive.
And I think too, a big part of this is like you and I both have had the experience, I think personally and professionally, of always being made to feel like we are the problem and we are the villain. So it's almost like you and I have the same experience on two different ends of the axis. So you've been made to feel that way your whole life. And then when you do actually do something that you feel is wrong and you feel guilty about, it becomes like unbearable because that narrative is already instilled in you. And then with like my situation, I got like totally blindsided. And then I was like, it was so difficult because eventually I stopped telling people like what was going on in the breakup and like how I was handling things and what I was doing. And you and I had this conversation one time actually in May, because I was still made out to be the problem, right? If it was like, oh, like he and I are still intimate. We were intimate last night. Why did you do that? And then he would villainize me. Like when I would confront him about the consequences of his actions, I was told I was jabbing him and making his life unbearable in the home. Or I even told him this at one point. I'm like, part of the reason, like one time he said to me, my answers are never good enough for you. Like you ask the same thing all the time and my answers are never good enough. It's not that they weren't good enough. It's that every time I asked him stuff, he was such a liar. He would respond with different answers. Right. So I'm trying to figure out the truth of this person who's lying to me and I'm still the problem. Like, and then your girlfriends are like, why are you still intimate with this person you thought you were going to marry and live in the same house with? Why are you not out of the house yet? Why are you not doing this? Someone even said one time, why don't you just ask your dad for a $10,000 loan? Are you kidding? And so it just becomes that on the other end of that, when you feel like you're always the problem or like too much for people. I remember I had a girlfriend who I texted, who was a really close girlfriend, and she responded, oh, okay, hope you deal with that and you're doing okay, friend. And I was like, friend. Are you okay? And she was like, I just really don't know what to respond. It's like the craziest situation. And so then you feel like, oh, I am always the problem. I am always too much.
I think that, wow, this feels like therapy.
You're welcome.
I think that you're not so much the second part that you were saying, but the first thing about how if you're the person, because I was the person in my family, I was the black sheep and stuff. If you're the person who is always told that you are bad, you are the cause of all these problems, it's always you. And then something happens and I fucked up. Like I can admit that I made a mistake in the relationship. And then I was honest about my mistake, which my therapist told me not to be, but I felt like it was the right thing to do. And then the guilt of that was for me so insanely unbearable.
Right. This story I've been told about myself, this narrative about me is actually
true. It's true. And that I also lost the love of my life over it. And so I just shouldn't be here. That was basically it. And okay, I've had 3 episodes, but I really feel it's out of my system because first of all, I pierced the veil of I'm not afraid to live or die anymore. And now I'm just on the live side. And I'm very interested in this idea of flow state, which I've been getting into with fitness, which I've been getting into with even relationships and how I communicate with people, really getting into a natural, organic, real flow state opposed to keeping things superficial and fake and trying to please people all the time and whatever. And I worked with this healer in Maui just recently in August. And she said that, and I didn't even tell her about all this. And she said, Hildy, you have 1 foot behind the veil and you have 1 foot on earth. She goes, you need to accept that you're living and that you're here and that you're meant to be here. And I believe that. I believe what she said. When she said it, I was like,
yeah, because what's so interesting is both of us start out with the same core wound of we're the villain, we're the bad guy. We both have 2 different experiences. One of us does something wrong, the other one gets wronged. And we both ended up in this place of I am too much. My pain is too much for people. I need to go away. Whether that's isolating, not reaching out to people, or trying to go through the veil, for lack of a better term.
yeah.
And both of us, I think, have come to this place where we've accepted, no. We are here. We are allowed to take up space. Even if it's true we are the bad guy, that doesn't mean we're not allowed to be here, be alive, take up space. We have needs. And not acquiescing to people in that sense, to make them comfortable.
Yeah. And also, I think it's okay, not okay, but especially as an artist, and I don't mean to advocate for whatever, I don't want people to come for me and be like, blah, 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 mental illness. But to be a truly interesting, textured artist who has something profound and interesting to give to the world and to something that's nourishing, that's foundational and honest and true. I think those artists, not that they have to do what I did, but this is why I don't believe in young artists being great. I think you can be technically super talented, but I think you have to live through pain and suffering. I think you have to suffer before your art will ever be truly meaningful or good. And that's some people think that's a controversial opinion, and then some people are will agree with me on that.
Because one of the many functions of art that makes it so profound, I think, to us and people who appreciate it is that people feel seen by it. So it can even be, it doesn't necessarily even have to be suffering. It can be like happy things, right? Like the joy of motherhood or something. Like, why do you think so many people love Taylor Swift? It's this like profound experience of being seen. Like, oh my God, this person who, I would say that about Artemisia Gentileschi and Judith and Holofernes, like this person who existed hundreds of years before me that I've never met, felt the same things I felt and articulated them in a way that I resonate with and am drawn to and like am in love with visually. That's crazy that like we see each other through this artwork hundreds of years apart. That's insane.
Or now it's so interesting because obviously I have this deep love and affection for Hilma af Klint, but I also really love this artist. I talk about her all the time. She probably thinks I'm a psycho.
No.
This Patricia Tree. She's it's abstract painter, or it's definitely not figurative. It's truly, it's just her own thing. And I don't know what it is because it's certainly not figurative. It's not narrative. It's not telling a story. But I look at her work. I've seen it many times in person, and then I browse it online. I want one so bad.
Yeah.
But like, there's something about her gesture. There's something about the physical manifestation of her soul, of her ego, translated through the gesture of her hand to the paintbrush, to the canvas, that deeply hits me and touches me.
Yeah.
And that is so crazy. That's so crazy. Because I looked at the work right now, Google it, and it's great. But you might be like, Hildy, that gives you an emotional experience. And I'd be like, yes.
Yeah. I really do feel bad for people that like poo-poo or like fine art or architecture even or anything like that, because I can imagine living in a world where like there are like the arts don't draw something out of you, don't connect with you either mentally, spiritually, physically in some way, which is so crazy to me because I used to have students like that, right? Who'd be like, oh, I don't know, I don't really like painting or sculpture or like old art, whatever. And I'm like, do you have a favorite band? Do you have a favorite movie? You can connect with art. You do connect with art in this way. So does Bernini. And hey, Bubba. And so to think like even the arts or just the fine arts in general, or I don't know, made fun of for that, right? Especially if you connect to something like abstract art or something freaky or whatever. It's like, why? We all do this every day. It's just a different medium.
Helen Frankenthaler, another one for me. I think the technique, it was not particularly difficult, but to pick the absolute perfect color to go. I mean, to then elicit a crazy emotion almost 75 years later out of some crazy woman who's looking at it at the Kunstmuseum in Basel. What the fuck?
And I feel like our history students fall into this trap too of, was that Frankenthaler's intention? Was it supposed to be this emotional piece, or was she just was it just a practice in abstraction and whatever? And it's like, it doesn't fucking matter. Yeah. And I feel like some artists have their feelings about that, some don't. But at the end of the day, it's the viewer and the artwork.
Yeah. Like, I guess it's so funny. Like, we talk for so long and they're just going to get a little bit of art at the end. Hold on.
There's a lot of art.
It's open. Please. Random. Okay. So, like, I think right now is an interesting moment because art sales are not moving. So we're actually like, there's like a stagnation that's happening where you're not seeing as much work. And then Matt and I used to talk about this, and I still believe it's true. He was like, something is happening where paintings are starting to look muddy because
Yeah.
they can't decide if they're figurative or if they're abstract. And like because the colors are mixing,
Yeah.
it looks like poop. Like it looks like shit. It
I
looks
mean, it looks like cubism. I'm just kidding.
And so it's just interesting. I'm not saying all artwork is like that right now. I'm saying a lot, you begin to notice trends. The other thing that I really noticed, and this is why I'm like not so keen to go to every single fair right now, like I used to be,
Yeah.
is Paris is purring. My baby. Hi. Is there's so much derivative art.
Yeah.
There that's always going to exist. That has always existed. Like
Yeah.
I'm
But
not
there's a difference. I give a lecture on this between reference, remix, and being unoriginal, copying, and derivative.
there's so much derivative Jonas Wood.
Do you think
And
it's because like people are looking at what sells? Like I know a couple of artists who they do their own thing, but they are like consumed by the idea that their stuff isn't selling, and that's some kind of like statement on the quality of it.
ugh, I don't know. Like I'm really glad. I think when I sell, because I sell myself, I'm a whore. I think it's so different than selling like a painting. And I'm really glad that's not like what I have to worry about, because the thing that's unfortunate for any artist is you may never be the trend, or
Right.
you may be the trend early in your career and then like never again in your lifetime, or be the trend right at the end of your life and that's it.
Right.
And that is scary, because if there is a martyrdom, just like the suffering part that I was talking about earlier. I think there's a lot of parallels to almost like certain religions and then being an artist, because there is a martyrdom that is this acceptance that like you will continue to create your craft and do what
Mhm.
you do regardless of what the trend is.
And I also think like there's a lot, especially because of like the internet and everybody can see what everybody's doing. And there are people who are successful, and there are also people who are putting on like the image of being successful. Maybe they're not, right? Like you never know what's true. Artists looking at each other and being like, why them? Why not me? I could do that, or my stuff's better. And it's then you really like Beyonce talks about this in one of her documentaries, like she had to sit down and decide, did she want to be the best recording artist of all time? Did she want to have the best tour of all time? What part of her artistry did she want to zero in on? And it's okay, if that person is going off, or all you want to do is make money, sell out. Oh, you don't want to sell out? You want to have like your integrity and make your work? Then you have to make peace with then monetization isn't what you desire. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, just become Alec Monopoly and paint like McDonald's and like the Monopoly man and some dollar signs and maybe like an Exxon Mobil logo. And yeah,
Like if your only goal is to make money, you could do that. Like you just said, you could make that. But like you might have to come to the hard realization that's not your only goal. It's not why you have your practice.
have you ever seen Alec Monopoly's personal Instagram? Like that man, and I know his brother, Avery, and he is living so extra and so large. And I don't care. Anyone can argue with me about it. And I'm not saying I like the artwork, but that man figured out a formula. It 100% works around the world. He's driving gold Lamborghinis in Dubai with like models in bikinis, and he's got like a gold grill. The man is just like living. And that's because he figured out a formula. And I do think, I'm going to say something. I don't want to piss actually, fuck it. I don't care if I piss anyone off. But like almost every artist that is successful once they figure out a formula, they more or less stick to it. Jonas,
Yeah.
he sticks to his formula. You can spot his paintings a mile away. Rashid Johnson, sorry, Rashid, like those like scribbly, like kind of pseudo Cy Twombly, I don't even know what they're called, paintings that are like every interior design magazine photo.
Yeah.
There's your formula right there. And I'm sure you can make them very quickly and like whatever. Or like Henry Miller, I don't know if it is, he's represented, I think, by Hauser. And he paints these like portraits of people and he paints them in 15 minutes. And then they sell them. Wait, what is this? Hold on. No, I thought the mic was like turned off or something. I was like, oh no.
Throw it in more wall.
No, okay. Anyway. But yeah, like he has a formula or anybody. I'm trying to think like even Louise Bourgeois, like clearly there was a formula, like just make some spice.
Right. Is everybody going to hit the jackpot where like the art you make from this pure place of creativity and your like artistic ethos is going to be the thing and it sells and you just get to make art and everybody loves it? No, that's not. And no one's saying you have to sell out by any means, but you have to figure out what you want. And this idea that I can't just make my art and make money off of it in this world is, like you said, like people like nail themselves to the cross about it. And it's one of those things where, yeah, capitalism sucks. Like this whole commodification of art, it sucks. But it's where we are right now. Like it's almost like a third wave feminist idea of if you want to beat the system, you have to game the system.
Yeah.
So like you have to decide. Like of course it's a dream that you just make art from this pure place and it sells. But if you want to make a ton of money, like you might have to compromise on that.
I think we were laughing, like I think it's a Karma Gallery. It's one of the galleries. I think it's Karma. Like they have the same thing at every single booth at every single like they have a Catherine Bradford. They have that mirror that's like Time Magazine Person of the Year where you can take a selfie. They might have what's the other Catherine? The other Catherine. They have a really funny one. Will paint like cigarettes and toilet paper. They might have one of her works. Like they have the same exact things. And like they've worked out their formula clearly because they're selling like also at every fair. And James Turrell is, I think, a genius.
Yeah.
And it's crazy though, because like really he's going to be remembered by most people for just like doing light stuff.
Yeah.
And if you are, and I'm not saying that you don't know, but for people who are listening that are interested, like James is brilliant and like studies like stars and makes ceramics and does like all these other things that are like outside of the light stuff. But people just, I don't know, he will be known as like the guy that makes the neon light things, or like, I don't know. It's just Jeff Koons, he has his shtick. Damien Hirst, he has his shtick. I was thinking, who do I know that's changed in their career? And the only person that came to mind, but then I backed out of thinking it, is Jordan Wolfson. Because I was like, he'll do these really scary sculptures and he'll work with electronics and I was going to say zombies. What do you call them? Like robots and like that. And he'll make these like pretty like weird, uncomfortable sculptures. Or he did the thing where the AI piece that he did, or it wasn't AI. It was a virtual reality piece that was like the Whitney Biennial. And you would hate this. You would put the headphone on, and then all of a sudden you were a person holding a bat, and you could go and you could murder a Jewish person and beat them to death with a baseball bat.
Did he like record how many people did it versus not?
There was lines for people to do it.
Interesting.
So he did that, but then He's done, like, I've seen him do these really immature paintings of like swastikas. And then now I think he's like going back to some robotic stuff with AI. So I guess I could say like he's maybe been transformative in parts of his career and
Right.
practice. But I would say his whole thing is he's an edgelord, basically.
Almost like a rage baiter or something.
Yeah. And he just like
Shock value.
I think he's really into that. I do know him as a person and I don't want to blow up his spot on like what I don't think anything he does is thoughtless. However, just because you have a certain intention with your artwork doesn't mean that like your artwork can't have a huge and maybe destructive impact on others.
Yeah. 100%. And then also, I think a big part of this too is people like the whole system being frustrating in the sense that like, who was the guy that basically went in and picked like the YBA artists and made them all famous? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Charles Saatchi.
Yes. There's also a component of this too, of like being chosen by the right people as like what's interesting, what's in, what's now. You know what I mean? That also like it's a shitty system and it's out of your control.
Yeah.
Talk about that guy. Like, who's the curator deciding that guy's stuff goes into a museum? Like, he's being chosen by this, like, what to the public is like mysterious art world people that are like validating it and saying, no, but this is art.
Yeah.
He could have lived his whole artistic practice with people being like, you're a fucking freak.
I have to go in a minute, but I think this is an interesting point to end on that we should definitely follow up with.
Yeah, I want Una's thoughts.
So for a long time, just like couldn't actually believe that there were people that were truly far right. I thought the idea of gatekeepers was like fucking ridiculous. Like, no way. That doesn't exist. Like, that's bullshit. That's just like people who, this is what I used to tell myself. This is just for like people who like are afraid to work really hard and like they want an excuse for like why they didn't get in. And what I have learned in basically the last 2 or 3 years, and I don't say this to make anyone feel scared or bad because I think we can eventually break this system down, but there are gatekeepers, like for real.
Absolutely.
And they really do decide who gets to stay and who gets to go. And I think there's been times where I was like accepted by the gatekeepers. And then I know for a fact that like I did and said certain things because I went to business school and began to notice that art is like such a terrible business. And I started writing about how it was a bad business and like what it could do to be better. And I made some gatekeepers so angry that I can't even go to, I won't name it, but there's a certain fair that I'm like permanently disinvited from. And there are gatekeepers and it is real. However, I want to go back to something I said before, and then I really have to go because I'm going to die too.
Yeah.
Okay. Like in high school, there's 2 ways to get popular, right?
Yeah.
You can either go and Gretchen Wiener or your way up to like Queen Bee.
Inform you.
And then if you're really smart, fucking crush the Queen Bee and become the Queen Bee.
Yeah, Katie Heron.
So you can do that. Or, and this is like more what I'm famous for. I did this in high school. I did this in art school. I've done this in my career, which is I believe in red ocean, blue ocean. Like, I'm not going in the red ocean. There's tons of sharks. It's full of blood. Like, I'm not going there. Go to the blue ocean and I will organically attract the people who want to be around me and who love me.
Yeah.
And I have slowly built my own community, my own world, my own thing, where suddenly now there are so many people, names are unnecessary, that want to come in and be a part of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And those are the people that maybe initially I had wanted acceptance from or want to like me. And now I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe you can come in, maybe you can't. I'm not sure. But this is a community now that I created.
Yeah.
And mine. And I really believe in the mantra of build your own art world.
Yeah. And I feel like the internet, we've talked about this before, has allowed you and I, who are always maligned by the art industries we've been a part of and rejected, it's allowed us to build our own little like left or right of center, like outside the inner loop art communities that are actually flourishing and like happy, safe places for people.
Yeah.
Like the internet empowered us to be able to do that. Back in the day, it was like, how would you do that? It would be so local.
I know. I have to stop because I'm supposed to go to dinner with a friend and he's sitting in the car waiting for me right now.
Okay, go be fabulous. I'm going to go put the dogs out.
I love you. It's so fun. We should just keep doing this.
Just do it once a week.
Yeah. And we need to stop dominating so that Una can talk more.
I know, but she's so good.